Another edition of the Fireside Chat. Got the warm flames embering in the background. A little bit of drizzle outside today. Wonderful day. Over here in AZ, where I stay and I reside, as many of you all know. Broadcasting live from the den over here at Mi Casa Su Casa. This live stream chat. We're going to let it run today. We're going to let it go. Maybe some may hop into the chat, maybe not. Others may catch the replay a little bit later on. But we're going to talk about and resume talking about proper validation and controlling the controllables. Think about it. The last conversation we had about proper validation, we're not getting it. Of course we're not. We need to validate ourselves. And remember, I said I validate you as well. Sometimes we think we're doing so good. Not so much thinking we're on top of the world, but we're just thinking that we're doing all right. We're hanging 10, smooth sailing, one day at a time. And then when things turn into turmoil, so to speak, and maybe not as much turmoil, but maybe not as smooth as we would expect it to be, are those that are due to give us that validation going to give it to us when disaster strikes? We know when we're doing our best, and it's hard and very difficult for ones not to give us the validation that we know that is due. And it's okay. The last fireside chat we spoke about, well, they're not going to give it to us because their validation, they are still waiting to receive. Sometimes there's an enjoyment of a little bit of hiccups and situations and circumstances, because sometimes it gives one's valid reason to justify maybe why they did not give any validation or why they withheld validation. As we look into the fire in the chat, sometimes you just got to let it burn a lot of times. And we get into the area of controlling the controllables. Sure, we can't control how people feel and how people are going to react and what they're going to say and what they're going to do and what they're thinking and what they're going to speak. It's okay, because we're living in a system here where people are going to be just downright nasty and dirty, but then you're going to have those chosen few that are going to be proper and respectful at all times. They're not going to engage in the riffraff. They're not going to get caught up in any kind of smoke and any kind of drama. They just stay straight by the book and go full speed ahead. They too probably were in situations where they should have received validation and did not. And they too probably had to realize they had to validate themselves. See, there are a lot of things going on in this society, in this system that we live in, that we are unable to control. And we have to accept the fact that we are not able to control every single thing. We will stress ourselves out, wear us down, tear us down, trying to control things that are out of our reach. Even the fact of having a good heart and a good soul, having the proper vibration, being on the correct plane, doesn't matter. There are still things that come up and we are faced that we have to decide. Is this worth lowering our vibration? Is this really going to help my soul if I continue to dig deep and dwell and let it consume me? Or you in your various situations, letting it consume you? You're going to have to make a choice. And sometimes it's a tough choice of letting go. You bring yesterday's baggage into today, you're going to have a heavier load than you may want. And it's tough. It's tough. Letting go. We love being able to control what we can control, but there is a dislike when we can't control things, because we want to be able to see the end. We want to be able to see the results. Again, casualties of this system on this rock that we live on, we have to just go with the flow with a lot of things. Move full speed ahead. And yes, that is easier said than done. That's why we have these fireside chats, so we can all get together and talk or view ideas and reflect on things that are said. I presume that's why everyone has their little chat shows and they speak about various items on their chat. Sometimes talking and expressing are ways to release burdens. And then when you don't have anyone to talk to, well, you turn to the chat. See, these fireside chats, the purpose is to upbuild and uplift everyone that may be going through various situations. Let's talk about the dark place for a little bit, the void. Some inside the void don't realize they're inside that void. They can make the U-turn, they can turn around, but the deeper you go into that void, you start wanting to take up residency there because you realize that deep inside that void, you can try to control the narrative. You can create the narrative if you want to within that void. And if you're able to take some of your friends down there to the void, it's a jolly good time. See, circumstance and environment and thought process and low vibration can get anyone down there in the void. But coming out of that void is tough. Deep in that void, you can have every single thing your way. You want it now, you can have it now. You think it, you've done it. And you got your friends down there too in the void, so it's a big old party, a void party. But then the only problem is because you're down in that void, you've had to sacrifice something. You probably had to do certain things. Perhaps you have to lie, cheat, and steal, and that's what got you down in the void. Or maybe you're just down in the void because you're just done with the riffraff of it all. And unfortunately, you got yourself down there in the void, unintentionally in the void. Got some of your friends down there with you. When the void monster comes and wants to collect after sacrifices have ran out, or you have nothing else that you feel you can offer, then that void monster comes and takes everything. And while you're in that void, you may not catch it at first or understand what exactly it is, what it's really all about. Everybody goes through trial and circumstance. The void monster just came and tore everything down. That's life. Oh, but you're in a different kind of life. You're in the void. And you will be able to rebuild and restock while you're in there. Because the void does take care of its own. That's the thing. You get take care of better in the void than you will in this society that we live in. But it's a big risk going down there being in that void. And we've all been there. We've been to that void and we've got out. How do we get out? So we have individuals that have been down there in the void or are down there in the void and they have their friends down there. And if you go visit the void, you know it's not a good place to be. Some won't visit the void, even when they know their friends are down there, because they don't want the void mentality to rub off on them. But you'll have a chosen few and a strong few that have been to that void and they've got out. They've been to the dark side through trial and circumstances, life, whether inflicted on ourselves or inflicted from somebody else. And when you're trapped down there in that void, you start to realize something. That when the void monster comes to collect, you're already past due. So the void monster is going to collect everything that you have. The void can giveth, but the void monster will take it away. You begin to look around Then one day you start realizing one friend is gone, two friends are gone. What's going on here? The void was a fun place. It was a great place to be in. But now you seem like you're there by yourself. The tide seems to be changing a little bit. You think nothing of it? That's what friends do, right? They get up, they move on, they go in different directions. That's all part of life. You go to familiar spots, and those places that you and your friends used to go are places that perhaps you would see those friends, and they're not there anymore. They're no longer there. Where did they go? What happened to them? Did they get swallowed up by the void? Some will get swallowed up by the void, but not everybody. See, some get out of that void and they leave. Or if it's not on their own, they have a friend that's going down there and they get them. They snatch them out of the void. It's a dangerous thing going down to that void trying to rescue your friend. But that's what a friend does. And when you're down there in that void and you're taking up residency and you took a couple of friends down there with you, either by choice or they just wanted to go along with you to see what it was like, they leave. And they leave you behind. And the friend comes to get them, and the friend comes. And when you're getting out the void, you have to want to get out. Because if you just get out because you need something here and there, you got to go pick something up, you'll be back to the void. As a rough and tumble as a place as that void is, people return every now and then because they like the reality there. So when those friends go down to the void and they help their friend and they get their friend out of there, and the person that's down there in the void is seemingly stuck there because no one's going down there to go get them. Perhaps they ran off all their friends and acquaintances. Evil tricks, silly games, deceptive devices that made individuals not even want to stand next to them anymore. And that's what got them down there in the void. And yes, they took ones down there, but now those ones are gone. And they're stuck down there in that void all by themselves. You get so used to being down there in the void monster doesn't even bother you no more. He comes and he goes. You might even be able to make friends with the void monster. Again, we've all been in that void. We know the void monster. The void monster could be anybody. Anybody that we're running from is in that void. Or maybe it's not even that deep. Perhaps we're down there because of circumstances. We tried to control too much and we couldn't control it. We did the best we could. We did everything we could. We didn't try, we did it. And because we couldn't control the narrative, with odds stacked up against you, and you tried, and you tried, and you did, and you did, and you put forth a valiant effort. And because you wanted to control a lot of many things that couldn't be controlled, you ended up being consumed. You got yourself down there, trapped in the void. You feel good, you seem good, but your people, the ones that are around you, are seeing otherwise. You're not looking so hot, you're not looking so good. See, the void has deceptive tendencies to make you look one way, but you're really looking some other way. You can have ones down there in that void, they don't even realize they're treacherous, and deceitful. You can be in that void and don't realize you're treading on thin ice. You're in that void, you don't realize you're out of gas, but you're still trying to go on. I have a sister in the void, choosing not to come out. Doesn't want to come out. Enjoying life in the void. And that's okay. Everyone, to each his own. Can we control being in that void? The way life and circumstances seem to happen? Maybe, possibly. But the important thing is this. Some things we're just not going to be able to control. And we have to accept that we're not going to be able to control everything. And sometimes you just got to see what happens, unfortunately. And that's tough for us. We're powerful. We're warriors. We want to speak up and stand up. Some situations you can't when you're not in control of the narrative. Unfortunately, you have many out there at work to tear down those that are truth seekers, that are powerful, that are trendsetters in a positive light. And they want to bring you down. Conformity is irrelevant. Following the rules, not interested. Doing what's right, we'll hear you about it another time. And we have ones that'll make things difficult for individuals because they see that the avalanche is coming their direction. And when they recognize and realize that the tide is coming in their direction, they got to turn it around and flip it on somebody. Somebody's got to be defeated. No one wants to be defeated. And you can either leave or go, or you're going to stay and fight the fine fight. Of course you are, because you've done nothing wrong. Nothing to hide. Everything is out there plain and open and exposed. That's what we can control. Rightfully so, we can't control ourselves. We definitely can. If we can't control nothing else, the first thing and the main thing that we can control is definitely ourselves. That's the most important thing we can control. Self-control. Even if we don't get the validation, the commendation, the recommendation that we feel like we should receive, we still have to be responsible for ourselves. Control ourselves, self-control. It hurts and it's devastating when you can't control things that are put in front of you. Sometimes it can even be embarrassing. But because you care about everybody else, you're more concerned to care about them first. If it involves other people, you're concerned about them. But see, never a deceitful and treacherous person wants to do things on their own. Oh no, they need somebody to shake up the pot with them. Most of the time. They need a team, they need a group to shake up the pot with them to get the absolute results that they're looking for. They've studied, they calculated, they know their opponent. They know us. We're the toughest breed of individuals they would find. We don't back down easily, we don't get shook up, we don't cower, and we speak boldly. We are full of courage. So these individuals, recognizing that, they're going to have to try something a little bit more creative and clever. And sometimes not even as creative and clever, it's just using old tricks to the advantage of any ears that are going to listen. And through time and investigation, it's realizing, it's determined that this is a void individual speaking out of place, speaking out of character against a high vibrational individual. And if you're in high vibration, one way or another, you come out on top. You can't control, you're unable to control how you're going to come out in fair in certain situations. And that's understandable. That's valid. But you stay with a high vibration because you're not choosing to allow yourself to be caught up in the riffraff and the shenanigans. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Doesn't mean you don't feel bad about it. Doesn't mean it could even weigh you down. Like I said, sometimes words are easier said than done. You just want to crawl up in that pillow, pull the blankets over you, and just cry. And pray for a new day. Some haven't even prayed before, but when they're faced with opposition, stiff opposition, that interferes with livelihood and things of that matter, they're quick to pray at that point. And that's fine. You need a trusted friend. You need somebody to go to. Great if you were praying all the time. Nobody's perfect, though. Control what you can control. Control the controllables. Some things are not meant for us to control. Some things are meant to expose something that's underlining. And you were able to be the host because sometimes things happen to individuals for a particular reason because maybe they're the better fit to properly facilitate a matter or a situation that no one else was able to properly get through. Why is it us? Why is it always us? Because we're the chosen. We're always going to be chosen. It's us. We're chosen because it's us. Basically, because as long as you're doing what's right and you're on the straight and narrow, you're keeping that aura clean, someone's always going to be coming. There's always going to be coming. Everybody has a nemesis. Feels bad having nemesis, but then feel good you have a nemesis because that means somebody's paying attention, and that means you must be climbing that ladder as you should be. And they don't want you climbing that ladder because your climbing of that ladder is interfering with what they're trying to accomplish. And a lot of times it's not even what they're trying to accomplish. It's just because they don't want to do anything at all. And you're standing in your vibrational plane, not concerned about them, but for some reason you're a threat to them. You're not giving these individuals any kind of consideration, but for some reason they're losing sleep at night over what they can do to you. You got one still crying and having a hard time over situations and circumstances, feel bad and blaming others. But these are situations and circumstances that they have rightfully created on their own and looking for someone to get them out, and no one's going to get them out. They're on their own. They've done it to themselves. And sure, you might be able to move and remove one chess piece off the board, but there's not enough forward thinking to consider who's coming up next or what's coming up next. You got rid of the one, or you tried to cause confusion or cause problem to the one that was in strong support and did everything possibly being able to be done to the proper value, to the highest level. And it's us that they want to get rid of. When we've been in those certain situations or circumstances, and they're not thinking about the next person coming in. But right now, instant gratification type of society that we live in is not thinking about later on. Because a lot of the TikToks and the YouTube shorts are at a minimum 15 seconds. The mind is only going to last for about 15 seconds. It's not thinking about anything else. At your fingertips, you can just scroll to the next thing to get what you want. And we have individuals that assume and presume that life is working the same way. You see these entertainers, these content creators, they're on there. They're here to entertain you. But that's not saying there's not any down there that I do not like. I like them all. I have my favorites. I have the ones that I enjoy. However, they're here to entertain. They got one job and one purpose. So while you're sacrificing your time on things that you could have been done or accomplished, you're sitting back watching them, giving in your time, energy, and money. When a lot of things that they were supposed to do, they've already done it already. And we have ones that are putting their stuff aside for individuals that care nothing about us, never seen us before. We're just likes. That's all we are. We're likes and views. Pretty much it. That's all it boils down to. There's an understanding that instant gratification is the way that life should work. But is the way life should work? Hardly. There is no instant gratification in life. In life, you have to work for every single thing that you're trying to get. It's not going to come instantly. It takes hard work. It takes dedication. It takes losing sleep. It takes sweat. It takes muscle a lot of times. Things that we can't control. If we can't control them, that's something different. The unfortunate thing about life as we know it. And those that want to receive gratification at a level that's a little bit quicker than usual, does it always end well? And it may end well the first time, the second time, the third time. It quite possibly may end well. But after that, see, the vibration in the universe seem to have a way of getting back at those that keep trying to dictate their own reality. Once a reality was created, you can't change the reality that you've created. It's the reality. Sure, you can change it the next day, the next hour, the next couple of words is the future. But in the meantime, in a reality that you created, you're in that reality until you're able to change to another reality. And as long as it took you to change the rules and bend your surroundings to create the reality that you have, well, that's how long it's going to take for you to be able to bring in a new one. That's how the universe works. You can't dictate and control the narrative and create a reality that you want and then automatically think that because I'm tired of that, I want something else, that the universe works like that. Whether you've seen the error in your ways or not, life does not work like that. If you have created a reality based on your choices and your decisions, your attitude, lying and conniving, deception, conniving, you're going to have to face that reality that you've created. And that's hard and that's tough for some people to have to be stuck in what they've created. And you warn people and you tell people, hey, you know what? If you do this, this is how it's going to go. And due to the laws that, not laws, but due to what is being seen on social media in terms of instant gratification, they don't really care. Because they want what they want it right now. Don't stand in their way. Get a couple of cronies to work with them. Let's band together. Let's do this. The situation becomes out of your control. And then it takes someone with intelligence to sort through it all. Make it work for extra people because your instant need for instant gratification is not being met. So you got to involve somebody else so that you can have your instant gratification need met. It's quite simple. Individuals at some point, they get so deep, and that's being in that void. You get so deep, they don't realize they're in there. They're in the void. They don't get it. They don't understand. They went too deep. They've gone too far. And then someone has to risk themselves to go and drag them out if they're choosing to come out. But if things keep working for you and things keep being satisfied for you, and it's success after success, because you played your game to perfection, all you do is just get better. You know the strings to pull and the buttons to push. You know the things to say and the type of dialogue you need to have because you've done it before. You've done your research. But it takes that special individual of a high vibrational level to be able to sort through it all. You have to leave it up to them and let them control it. Whether it's going to come from your family or friends, those ones that may be looking over and overseeing it, or whether it's a work situation, you can't control it because you don't know anything that's going on. And a lot of times when it's at work, you don't even know what's said. Next thing you know, you're at home. Well, you'll put on admin leave until everything gets sorted out. You can't control those things. It's best to just keep moving on with what you're doing. If you're doing the right thing, of course, then you just keep moving on. That's about the best you can do. Because there's only so many things that you're going to be able to control. This life that we live, very short compared to generations many, many, many years ago. And it's short. And we just don't have the mental capacity to have to do all those things. Even though we have two sides of our brain, but even with two sides of our brain, both sides of the brain do completely different things. Sure, they work together in tandem at times, but they're doing two different things. We were not meant to try to control things that we couldn't control. It just causes stress and heartache. And those ones that are causing these things, they want you to have that. They want to tear you down. And a lot of times it's a scare tactic. They just want you to think about who your opposition is. Remember who your opposition is. We have the power, and we can do whatever we see fit with our type of power that we have. And it's scary because it'll make you think. It'll make you wonder. But at the end of it all, one thing is most definitely going to create a new man and a woman out of you. Because when situations like this happen, it's unfortunate, it's terrible, but you can actually put on a different personality. You can be a new person based off the things that have happened in the certain particular circumstances that you were put into and involved in. And when you come out of that, you can be a new person. You do not have to be the same person when you return, when you get back on track. You can control the narrative of how you are going to be perceived once you return. Once you're ingratiated back in, you can definitely change things. You can change the way things look. You can definitely change things around. And you can be a different person. Look at it as a blessing in disguise. And it's tough, it's hard. Again, words easier said than done. Trust me, I know. But you can use particular opportunities and circumstances that someone has put you in. Of course, if you haven't done anything to create a situation, look, if you're in trouble, you're in trouble. That's just how things go. But if you're standing 10 toes down and you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing with an honest heart, with a clear conscience, you're going to return out of that a whole different person. And that's how these things work, and that's what individuals don't realize. You've given birth to a new person because this person got past that. Even if you get past it and the results weren't the way that you expected it to be, the outcome wasn't the way that you figured. But in the back of your mind, you know, you're keeping a high vibrational plane, and your aura and chakras are in their proper perspectives. All you can do is control yourself. We have all learned, and as I've learned, the individual can have all the facts and all the information in front of them, and they still go in the direction that they want to go in because that's just what they want to do. There's no concern about how it detriments somebody else or their livelihood. It doesn't matter. They want to do what they want to do. And you can't control that. Got to remember, you can't control it. Whatever you try to do, you're not going to be able to control it one bit. No way, no how. Control the controllables. Self-control. Not just self-control when you're in school to stay out of trouble. Self-control, even as an adult, to determine how you're going to respond to particular circumstances and situations that have come up before you. You can't control everything. You're not going to be able to control everything. When you get out of that situation, no matter which direction it goes in, come back out, you can be a totally new person. And that's the thing with individuals. They don't realize and understand the battles another person has went through. Everybody sees everybody at face value. They don't comprehend those types of things. This person could have went through something particularly difficult. Maybe I should be nice to them. But you have many. They don't care. They don't care one bit. And that's okay. Are you able to really control the way that someone feels about you? Hardly. Absolutely not. And I wouldn't want to control in the way anybody feels about me because everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But when you see the real person, when you see the real, then that's when you know that this person is legit. Your character and your conduct stand alone and speak up for you. You don't have to say anything. That's how you can tell you made it. You made it to the big time, but it doesn't happen all the time because a lot of times people will still believe the negative, the hateful speech before they believe the good. And before they even take into consideration the individual, it's bad. It's drama. People lean more toward the drama. You watch TV shows, movies. People do a real poor job when they're being good individuals. You can tell it's an act. You can tell it's a script. But when the individual is playing a bad character, a mean character, it looks so easy. It looks flawless. No problem at all. Because, and the reason is, because the inclination of everybody is just to automatically do bad all the time anyway. So acting bad is not even an act. It's for real. It's the real deal. Being good and being responsible is the tough part. That's what makes things tough. But we can be good and we can be responsible by controlling the controllables, controlling us, realizing, understanding, being honest with ourselves. We can't control everybody and everything. The best thing we can do is just control ourselves and keep it moving because no one is stopping for us. These that put individuals in these situations through their poor upbringing or due to their poor grasp on life or their immaturity level, they don't realize that you're making you even more new. So as this fireside chat comes to a close, and until the next one, just remember the validation that you are seeking or that you want or that you're not seeking. It's okay. Validate yourself. And I validate you. And control the controllables. Control yourself. Self-control. You have the power to react in any way that you see fit. Well, why not react good? Why not give the individual a different response or an alternate response when they expect to be down and beat up and in the dumps? Give them that different response. Flip the script on them and have them remember that I'm in control. They're not. Remind them you're in control. They are not in control. They never were in control. You cannot allow someone to control you. You got to be able to control yourself. Fireside chat. Thank you. Thank you for viewing. If you like this, share it. Click the like button. Stay tuned for more interesting topics and interesting material on the Fireside Chat. We out.